Hi, I'm Ali. I'm one of the physios from sportsinjuryphysio.com. This video is going to be exploring the link between menopause or perimenopause and our changing hormones and the relationship between that and a gluteal tendinopathy. So that's a tendinitis or a tendinopathy, those words are interchangeable, of your gluteal, which are your buttock muscles, and you tend to feel that pain more over the outside area of your hip or around the back into your bum and the outside area. I'm one of the physios at sportsinjuryphysio.com. If you would like to find out more about what we do or any more information about gluteal tendinopathies or other injuries, please have a look at the information below, and it will also run through how to book an appointment. So what is a gluteal tendinopathy? So your gluteal muscles are your buttock muscles, and they sit right at the back of your hip, and they all come back together and attach into a tendon onto the bony part of the side of your hip. So if I stand up and show you, it's around this area of your hip here. Pain typically is shown around that area, or it can be just behind that area, sometimes a little bit lower. Your glute muscles are muscles that move your hip. They tend to move your hip backwards and also out to the side. So these are big, strong muscles, and they're involved in everyday activities. Typically, if we were getting this sort of hip pain, we would notice it when we might be climbing stairs, or we might be getting in and out of cars, or it could be if we're going for longer walks, or we're doing our normal sorts of sports or activities like running or aerobics, and it's starting to hurt maybe a little bit into that activity, or it hurts at the beginning and it warms up, and then we're able to do that activity and we feel the pain and symptoms later on. So a gluteal tendinopathy can get also diagnosed and mixed in with bursitis, which is more of an old-fashioned term for this area that was diagnosed and given that label. And then we've also put it together with the bursitis to be called greater trochanteric pain syndrome. So if you see any of those types of diagnoses or lateral outside hip pain, they all lump together under the one thing. But it's really the tendinopathy that's affected with the menopause or perimenopause because of our fluctuating and changing hormones with that decreasing amount of estrogen over a period of time. So if we look as to why that might be, if you look at what happens to our bodies when we exercise and do activity, we enter a normal cycle which is happening in every sort of structure, so our bones, our muscles, and our tendons, for example. That cycle, when we're looking at a tendon, is called the collagen cycle because our tendons are made up of lots of bundles of fibers of collagen. When we exercise, what we do is we use those muscles. So when we're using them, we create micro damage, and those micro damages are completely normal. And that completely normal change then needs a bit of rest after the activity for us to replenish, and that's when that muscle and tendon gets stronger and happier to cope with demand. And then that cycle keeps repeating each time we do exercise, and that's how we either stay fit and strong or get fitter and stronger over a period of time. If we were to not have a break in that cycle, so if we were to do more exercise and more exercise or more activity or more things, and it might not just be exercise, it might be that we did a lot of activity on our feet, that we went on holiday and were walking around a lot more, and then we did some exercise, or we tried to increase it, went on an activity weekend, for example. What you're doing then is not allowing that cycle to catch up with itself. And instead of it causing that kind of repair cycle and replenishing and removing waste products, actually we're entering a cycle where it can't keep up. So it's entering a cycle of disrepair. That's where we then see changes in some, not all of those collagen fibers. So what do we know with the perimenopause is that we have fluctuating but generally lowering levels of estrogen over that time. And it's the estrogen that we know that is part of that cycle. So we just need a little bit longer for us to recover after exercise and a little bit time for that cycle to take place a little bit longer than before. Now, the important thing is to think that our tendons are not falling apart, they're not degrading, they're not disappearing. It's just that this process needs to be adapted. We just need to take it in a little bit more recovery time, know how to load it correctly so we're not entering into that cycle, and also monitoring our pain and symptoms at the same time while still keeping fit and still getting strong. So it's important to think, okay, this is just a change rather than this is me getting old now. I can't do what I want to do anymore. So does it change how we manage gluteal tendinopathy if we're in this perimenopause, menopausal time of our lives? Well, no and yes. It is still the same treatment. We still can do the same things. So doing the strength exercises are the mainstay of building up the strength in those gluteal muscles and therefore the tendon that attaches that muscle to the bone. Doing those strength exercises at the same time as loading appropriately for our pain and reducing the amount of irritant that's building up in that tendon. So we're load managing by maybe adapting what we're doing whilst also strengthening, because when we're strengthening, we know that stimulates new collagen production. We know that's starting to improve our tendon's capacity and robustness and how it can start to do things. And therefore, we start to be able to do more things and have less symptoms and less pain. But the difference must be that we are then taking into account that this progress on how we keep building this strength might need to be a little bit slower than what we're used to. The loads might need to be a bit more carefully chosen. So have I got a high load day of activity? Do I still do my exercises on that same day? Do I need to do then a lower load day of activity to allow my exercises to happen? And do I need to have rest days? And those rest days don't necessarily mean I need to sit on my bottom and not do anything, but the rest days are ones where we're not actively doing something that would irritate that or strengthen those muscles particularly. And it's getting that balance right. And that's where speaking to a practitioner is important, because everybody is different. What some people can do, they might be already doing amazing strength workouts in the gym on one leg lifting heavy weights. They might have never gone and done any exercises or strength exercises before. So how can you give the same thing to the same person? We also might be in the world of pain where we're feeling pain when we're limping about. We can't do our walks. We've really reduced what we can do in our lives because it's hurting, versus somebody that's only getting it a little bit at night if they lie on that side and otherwise they're not really feeling it. Again, it can't be the same recipe of things. And finally, we need to take into account what you want to do. Do you want to go back to walking with your mates, taking the dog out? Do you want to go back to ultra marathons, playing tennis, doing all kinds of different explosive sports? So we need to be looking at those things and drawing that big picture about where are you now? What are your symptoms like? What's your strength like? Where do we want to go to? And gradually progress that over a period of time. A good guide would be to look at your pain levels. Now, if your pain is pretty okay, so keeping activity and exercises in a 0 to 2 out of 10 level, or a minimal amount of pain, a niggly pain, oh yeah, it's not right, but it's not bothering me, I'm not limping because of it, I can do the rest of my day kind of level of pain, is perfect. And again, not just in that moment, but also over that 24-hour period afterwards. If we're in a moment where our pain is really quite sore and it's really sore at the moment and it's just happened or it's just started to happen, it's telling us our tendon's reacting to load and activity. So actually what we might need to do is calm it down and do less for a little while and find out the right entry level to exercises we can do after that. So it's important to reach out and get some help, and looking at your 24-hour pattern of pain can give you a clue as to whether you're loading this correctly or not. So it's listening to our bodies, it's listening to them a little bit more. We might start doing something and think, oh, I'm not feeling this today. This is a bit too much for me. I'm fatiguing quicker. It's starting to be a bit uncomfortable. Well, then we just don't do as much that day. The next time we might come and we might think, oh, I can actually have a go. I can do this. And it's looking at that bigger picture. So, how much can I do this week? And in a month's time, on average, how much have I now been able to do? And it should be more if we've got that loading right and you've got the right exercises for you. And we've got lots of videos that cover those sorts of topics that you can have a look in the description below. It's avoiding that boom and bust pattern. So do you remember I said, oh, if it's really sore, actually, we might need to deload it and stop doing things for a while. Well, sometimes if we stop doing that, we get a false sense of security. It's a bit like we've had a bruise and we've pressed on it a lot, and then we've sat out, rested, taken the pressure off. We're not pressing on the bruise anymore. It's starting to go away. Then we go back into our activity again. Actually, we haven't done anything to strengthen and build up that tendon's capacity and the muscles. We've just rested. So then we go back into our activity, and it might be the first go, it might be a few goes later, we start to get those pain come back again. And typically over a period of time, you notice it takes less before it starts to flare back up. And it's called a boom and a bust. So I've rested, I've boomed, I've done my activity again. It's about trying to find that happy medium where we can keep in a comfortable-ish level of pain, and we start to build up our strength to allows us to do a bit more activity, build up our strength, a little bit more activity again. So it's consistency over weeks and months of doing this that beats the intensity of a quick fix or a quick rest period. There is also some growing evidence. It's not robust at the moment, but it's starting to look quite positive about taking some supplements like hydrolyzed collagen or gelatin mixed with a combination of vitamin C. Now, this needs to be something that's individual to you and not something that I can prescribe and say would work for everybody. The information we have about the current research and availability you can find in the links below. Another thing that can help this, and certainly does help symptoms of the perimenopause, can be HRT or hormone replacement therapy. This is a massive individual choice. It's not a one size fits all, and it may not work for you. So this is something that replaces that estrogen progesterone levels within our body, and it is important to have that prescribed to you at the right dose by a practitioner. There's some evidence out there to say there are benefits for tendon and tendon health, but that evidence is currently limited. There's not a lot out there, and there's more research coming out, year on year about this. So it's not a guaranteed part, that some women do see improvement from taking HRT. It's worth talking to your doctor or prescriber about that. So the important and good news is we can still do the activity that we want to do. We can still load and get strong. Our bodies aren't falling apart, even though it might feel like that. We're not degrading, or we're not becoming older than we need to be. We are just going through a phase where we need to really think about our loading and really think about our strengthening, and do this in a smarter way where we can pragmatically take steps to have rest days, know which exercises are the ones that are for us, and how to load manage the activity that we're doing. So the right strength work and pacing, people will get better and this will improve. Thank you.